And also, one more thing, we die empty. We can take our wealth when we die. No matter how big we earn our wealth,
Yeah.
right? It has to go through life, and it should be witnessed by us living on this earth.
Welcome to Swiss Impact with Banerjees. Have you noticed how sustainability is not just a trend anymore?
Totally. This season, we are exploring the circular economy. Products are made to be used, reused, and recycled.
And we are seeing some incredible examples like turning ocean plastic into fashion or arts.
Or creating electronics that are built to last, not just be replaced.
And we are going to spotlight these pioneers and see how they're driving real change and what can we learn.
And let's dive into it right now.
Welcome everyone to the 6th episode, season 9, which will be dedicated to philanthropy and even deeper impact.
And a very special welcome to all of you. And here is wishing everyone a wonderful start to the Advent season. Isn't it just astonishing how quickly time flies?
Absolutely. It feels like just yesterday we were chatting with friends about plans for the next year. And now we are staring straight at the year 2025. Can you believe that?
Time doesn't fly, it zooms. But speaking of time, let's not waste a moment. I have got something interesting for our audience today.
Oh, that sounds good. What's on your mind, Ben, today?
Well, it's a funny coincidence. You know how we are always talking about making an impact and urging people to understand the difference between impact investment and philanthropy. And lately, I've been seeing something very fascinating.
So for those unfamiliar, here's a quick breakdown. Impact investing. It's investing money to drive positive social and environmental change while earning financial return. Where philanthropy is giving money, time, resources to help others to solve social and environmental issues, still the same, but without expecting any financial return. So the key difference, as you already understood, that impact investing aims for both impact and profit, while philanthropy focuses purely on impact and helping without profit.
Exactly. And lately, we have been meeting some incredible people and visionaries who are running amazing projects, creating positive impact, but they are purely philanthropic.
Well, philanthropy has always been a powerful force for change. But in today's world, its importance has never been greater. As we face global challenges like poverty, inequality, climate change, philanthropy offers a way to unite resources, innovation, and compassion to create lasting solutions. And actually, it's not just about giving. It's about empowering communities, driving sustainability, and ensuring that no one is left behind. In a world that needs collective action more than ever, philanthropy reminds us of the impact we can achieve when we come together for a common purpose. Just like our guest of today. So with that, let us welcome Dr. Glenda Antonio to the stage, who is an icon of the philanthropic world. Glenda, are you here with us today?
Hi.
Hello and welcome.
Hi, Ben. Hi, Sveta.
Great to have you with us. Where are you right now, by the way?
I am in Singapore right now.
That's a nice place. We are still in Switzerland, kind of snow autumn weather. So I'm happy you're enjoying the warmth
here.
It
Yeah.
must be middle of the night there.
Yes, it's 10 o'clock in the evening.
Wow.
Great. So you have all the time, the whole night to talk about philanthropy and your journey with us. Glenda, I want to introduce you to our audience before we start. So as I said, you are a true pioneer in modern philanthropy. You're also the founder and CEO of Spring Rain Global. You have reshaped philanthropy in Asia and beyond, creating an ecosystem that connects different stakeholders, donors, organizations, and communities for lasting impact. You have very strong background in financial planning and governance, and you have secured over 1 billion pesos for causes like education, healthcare, climate action. And your innovative SRG development system empowers organizations to become self-sustaining while aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You're also liking to write, so you're a published author, speaker, and mentor. You inspire change and collaboration. But let us hear from you directly how you are actually making a global impact.
So, so we are very keen to hear more about you. Can you please share some sneak peeks about yourself? What you do, what you like?
Yeah. So thank you really, Ben and Sveta, for having me here. I just want to get a bit of history about myself and how I got into philanthropy. So I'm a registered nurse by profession, but in the Philippines we get used to being breadwinners in our families and we get to help our families. So with that I pursued from nursing to the corporate because in the Philippines we're mostly when we take up nursing, we go abroad. But for me, I realized that there's more than just going out of the country first. So I studied financial planning so that while I'm helping my family in a corporate world, I know that helping does not sacrifice yourself from not also being sustainable myself. So there has to be a balance. So I did like financial planning and philanthropy. So most of my clients in financial planning were organizations. They were doing work, humanitarian work, and there's this element where they have needed resources, and what they do is raise money. So I said, well, if I make financial plans and just tell them this is what you lack, and then that's it, I don't find meaning to it. So I
Mhm.
Yeah.
asked, I dived into fund sourcing and I said there must be an institutional way of doing philanthropy and not just the cycle of asking, right? So I studied
Mhm.
philanthropy in Indiana University, Indianapolis fundraising school, where I learned that it is both a science and a heart. So as a nurse, I practice that heart of service. And as nurses, we assess and we make doctors find those solutions by our assessment, right? But philanthropy has been a pump prime solution to bring in funding, but you cannot just solely depend on it. You have to manage it. That's why financial planning would play a major role to combine both, because while you need those funds, there's also value of money. So I've combined financial planning and philanthropy in practice. And yeah, that makes me get to all this professional experience, and my corporate experience also taught me enterprise and how to make all this sustainable in a world where social issues are needs are overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the birth of Spring Rain Global in 2008. That was at the height of crisis that I wanted to be serious about doing this service instead of pursuing being a registered nurse. But it's just like also nursing the world. I
Yeah.
mean, nursing can be in many forms of ways where you could love to serve and at the same time take care of becoming healthy in many ways. Yes.
That's right. And who has been your inspiration or role model? Who inspired you and enlightened you to achieve all what you mentioned? You know, it's really impressive what you've been doing for remarkable
Well,
career. So, who has been your inspiration?
I have many inspirations along the way. Actually, God sent me so many. And recently, of course, you are my inspiration then, but I have to owe it to my family and my mom. My mother has always been my role model because she taught me what real service is all about. She always like inculcated when I was young to let me go to the store and say, hey, wear this. And I said, oh, but just wear it. We don't have money. Just wear it and just feel like you have it. And then he was, okay, return it back. You have to envision that one day you'll be able to have it. So in my mind, I said something like doing something when you're in a vision
Mhm.
mindset allows you to see for yourself what a future would look like. And my mom will always say, always believe that you've been gifted with much, but put heart and family and service into it. So all my life, I've treated every opportunity and partner with a heart, and that you all will be like family to me. So I cannot sacrifice what I am entrusted with, because I believe
Yeah.
it's part of stewardship. And later did I realize that that was that was God's way of culturing my heart of philanthropy then. So back then, as my mom brought me in my life's journey, I became a mother to many organizations serving philanthropy and financial planning, taking all the ups and downs and still doing it all with love like a mother. So
Yes.
for me, that's the most remarkable thing that formed and shaped my person. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so
And
nice. Yeah.
and you have been so long active with this in the field of philanthropy. So
Mhm.
what in your opinion is the biggest misconception about philanthropy, and how is SRG challenging these narratives?
The spring rain global, we mean.
Yes. Philanthropy is philos, love, and comes from two words, Greek words, philos, which is love, and anthropos, mankind, and it's purely love for humanity. Nothing more, nothing less. And how much you love humanity will determine how much you have to offer. And the misconception is that it purely is just about giving, but it's not just about giving. There's more than the impact of what you're giving. Ben, I just realized and spoke to some people that when they were in the impact investing space and they were so wealthy in their impact return with money and all those stuff, one of the person I met said, Glenda, I think the era of impact investing has ended. Why? He says, because my money keep coming back and it's growing and growing and growing, and I want to find some meaning. And I said, well, when you want to go with success to significance, I guess you might want to shift part of it to philanthropy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything will go back. And I realized that no no investment vehicle can ever compare to the ROI of philanthropy, I tell you. The 6%, the 20% is there, but if you go for matching funds in philanthropy, it's unmeasurable and there's no ceiling. So I believe that when you put so much love and in giving, or science and heart has to combine with
Yeah.
the science behind it, you realize that there's a space for it in this world, um, that will truly return back to where it is. So before it starts with that just the heart and the love, but then we put
Yeah.
science, and when we combine it, it's just so amazing.
And it has been in every religion, and it has been for thousands of years.
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
That's why you could see that in the church, they have big buildings and they have big structures. That speaks a lot that philanthropy has done more than any other means of providence. Because
Yeah.
even if I try all my best, I can't put those mansion that the sisters and the fathers have. So
Yeah.
that's a significant testament of real structure and providence that God
Yes.
provides, and that philanthropy is the immense love for giving. And also, one more thing, we die empty. We can take our wealth when we die. No matter how big we earn our wealth,
Yeah.
right? It has to go through life, and it should be witnessed by us living on this earth. So
I
philanthropy transforms so many lives. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the journey, but sometimes you need to go gradually. So first pure investment becomes impact investing, and then they realize they can also actually put part of this money to
Correct.
philanthropy, and then it's really financial
Yeah.
self-sustainable as well. And what you're saying is so true. I practice this as well, that we are just caretakers on this planet. Nothing belongs to us, not even this body. It will stay once
Mm.
we are dead. So we can just take care of everything we are given. And some people have been given a bit more, the others less. But at the end, we are just here to take care of the nature and people. Yeah.
Yeah, and capital for one has been in its broad spectrum. There are needs that are purely philanthropic in requirement, but there are needs that are definitely impact investing. So that's where the science comes in. You cannot give an impact investment to a need that is purely for grants.
Of course,
So there's a
absolutely.
space for both that spectrum. Yeah.
So tell me, Glenda, what are the biggest mistakes that most of philanthropic organizations or funds are committing today, according to your experience?
When they see that there's a one box fits all solution, and forgetting to invest on the internal organization, many of the philanthropic funds are invested on programs. They invest on feeding program, they invest on many other programs, which is good. But one of the things we realize that you have to invest on the internal organization. You have to make them sustainable internally as a way to build that up, so that, because we're teaching organizations to stand up and become self-reliant by empowering them in their philanthropy work, because programs, feeding programs, they can raise money locally, but if you keep giving to the programs, there's that's never ending. So you're gonna end up saying, I'm gonna stop sending money to this country, I'm gonna send money to this country, and the ones that you left still is not solved. So
Right.
so you have to balance between, okay, you give to the programs, but capacitate the internal organization, so we teach them how to raise capital. And in that way, the cycle is not gonna
Yeah.
continue in its problem for sustainability. Yes.
Mhm. And can you clarify it as we are going this like journey, So
Mm.
what is the difference to charity and social work compared to philanthropy, so that it's very clear for our audience, the difference between charity and philanthropy?
Yeah, charity is responding to the immediate need of what's happening today. So it's moved by the compassion. You respond to what you see. There's hunger, there's chaos, there's fire, there's all of this stuff. So you respond immediately. But philanthropy addresses the root cause of the problem.
Mhm.
So they're relevant, they're relative, but their unique approach is important in the ecosystem problem that we have, because our problems are systemic in nature. So if you say you're doing a feeding program, or you're doing a program for orphanages, that's a direct compassionate charity work. But if you're doing philanthropy on education, giving livelihood programs, so that means you teach them how to fish, so you
Yeah.
break that cycle of poverty. But we have to respond to what's happening,
Yeah.
but somebody else has to also solve, not add to the problem, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it has to, we have to work as an ecosystem. We cannot work in silos. And if nobody's doing the charity work, our business will fail in a failing
Yeah.
society. We cannot succeed our business if there are crimes around and there are streets, people on the streets. But we have a role to play to do philanthropy to address the root cause of the problem. Yeah.
And speaking about ecosystems, so Spring Rain Global is described as a philanthropy ecosystem builder. Can you explain what this means and how Spring Rain Global is apart or different to traditional philanthropic models?
Yeah. Our approach is to strengthen every organization that come to us individually, and then we map them on where their strengths are. And then from there, they evolved to work as an ecosystem. By the way, when you build an ecosystem, you don't dictate it. You don't say, okay, come everybody, get your projects on. It wasn't done that way. I
Yeah.
did my consulting one on one. And then I realized that, hey, this one connects this one, and this organization connects this. And then it started to evolve. And when it started to evolve, they were all working on where their strengths are. Every different organizations come into play, because for me, ecosystem is what you can put on the table and what you can take to grow. Like, you only take the air you need, You don't take
Yeah.
all the air, right? So in an ecosystem approach, you share what's needed for that moment. So we realized, Ben, that many of our organizations, our PDOs, are now becoming funders when we capacitate them. While some are still coming in, starting up, they pull them, and we have this mantra: no one left behind. So then it evolved, and the best thing was that happened is we were able to enable an environment for growth for them. And for me, that's more than enough to start working not in silos. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
great. And can you talk about the seven pillar capacitation model that you have? Maybe you can tell more about how it empowers organization to achieve their social missions.
Yeah. So when we were starting in the coaching sessions, we realized that a common framework and grounding has to be made available to the organization. So the seven pillar is it's really a force for good. It talks about how you capacitate organizations to be self-reliant from leadership and governance. That's the first pillar. Everything starts and begins with the leader. If you do not develop and capacitate a leader with the organizations that you help, your help may be only temporary. But we want to promote lasting impact. Second pillar is program development and management. These will focus on the what is impactful in society. For example, if it's climate, what's your thematic areas? If it's climate, education, health, um, upskilling, whatever, advocacy, you need to be relevant to the needs of time. You cannot just be status quo. You respond. And when you respond, the needs are overwhelming. So therefore, you develop and navigate solutions. Third pillar is philanthropy. We need to understand what capital we need, whether it is pure grants, loans, even impact investing can be developed from a pooled philanthropic fund and managed in a way that it will grow. Because as good steward of our philanthropic fund, we need to know buying power of money because of inflation. The fourth pillar is financial planning. If you do fundraising without financial planning, it's useless because you're not giving value to time and the money of the people you give. You've asked for money. For example, if you put up a building, you have to have a timeline because there is buying power of that money. You delay. You don't say, "Well, when God gives us money, we finish the church or we finish the building." You're not. You have to have. That's why impact investing can come in as a pump priming solution, like housing, where it there is an exit strategy because there's cost, right? And then so that's financial planning. Fourth, the fifth pillar is database management. The best fundraising so far that has ever attracted funding in philanthropy was data. This is what is very important in doing philanthropy because you matter every penny you give, that it provides impact and progress. And we talk about UN goals. There's 6 years left to go in the UN target. We need data for impact report and progress report, and we also need data on where the money is coming from, or how does community entice to attract funding for philanthropy so it can support impact and philanthropy. Because if you talk about impact funding and you don't capacitate, how can communities pay back, right? These projects are rooted in communities, so therefore the data has to be very important and capacitated. And sixth pillar is ecosystem building. As we said, we cannot work in silos. It takes time to do an ecosystem, but it is evolving as you go. And as we all have ecosystem of clients on our own, but in a bigger ecosystem, I'm happy that Spring Rain now connects with your bigger ecosystem. So we can say, hey, this is the role we need to play. We'll be able to help more on that. So that's the sixth pillar. And the seventh one, which I recently added, is the spirituality. It determines and boosts us on why we continue to do why we want to do. And when things don't do well, we always remember that it is our spirituality that drives us back to our senses, and that it provides success to significance in everything that we do for the love of humanity.
That's amazing, Glenda. So, can you share some concrete short story which created extraordinary results that maybe a project or organization was using your philosophy, the SRG philosophy, and created amazing results? Some storytelling time.
Yeah, I think I can give an example of a community that was is 200,000 densely populated area, very small area, poorly not there's economy inside the 200,000 population, but they've always been used to transactional way of sustainability. When we started in that community, we installed the philanthropic development system. So we kind of institutionalize an office that is capable of attracting resources and train the seven pillar. And right now, that community, even at the time of pandemic, close to about 130 million in peso, or let's say 3 million in US dollars, was raised in a matter of 130 months. What does that mean? They raised that, but right now they still continue to raise those funds because the system was already in place.
Hmm.
If you are capable of raising 3 million in 13 months, there's no reason, or 130 months, or 30 months, there's no reason you can't raise it again and
Mhm.
again and again. But what's lacking is the system. And now, if this system is very well in place, how can just a small community able to raise $4 million in a few months versus those with bigger communities? And there are companies like you're saying, hey, I'm struggling, but there's a mall over there. And that mall is supposed to be having tenants that's supposed to put funds to your structures. So we realized that, hey, the problem isn't about resources. The problem is the system. So many of this then duplicated. So we had one community, no corporate at all there, and now raising about two, three, $4 million and keep raising. But at the end of the day, if they're working on many areas in the programs, they need to scale. That's why
Yeah.
funders, when they come to us, you're not just there to get started. You're there to scale already
Yeah.
because we're doing great work. The community's been resilient, but there is still problems in the community. So we kind of match and scale. And it did not happen to just one, two, it happened to close to many. So the almost a billion of raised funds was a record of 10 organizations that we have curated the data as a case study. So
Oh,
if and those funds that they've raised was a product of our seven pillar. So if you put up a small fund to put the capacitation of that seven pillar, it can grow big and they can grow more funds. And you can you imagine, Ben, if you let this community, hey, say, put some of those funds on impact funding so it can
yeah.
grow, right? So
Exactly.
when you teach them financial planning, then they come to realize, oh, I need to pool my funds and put it in trust and maybe grow it so that inflation would not have to be a problem for them.
Hmm.
So we can share a lot of success stories so our partners would be very happy with the impact, the report that we can actually share as an ecosystem. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's 2 decades of journey. This is not an overnight thing. So be assured that we speak by heart and by practice and theory. So
Yeah.
it makes sense in both the science and the heart. Yeah.
And you mentioned that SRG focuses on the 9 key advocacies from education to climate action. Which of these holds personal significance to you and why?
I believe all are significant, but if I have to rank them, I would say I would prioritize on capacity building as an initial first stage as a force for good, and then education and upskilling because it breaks the cycle of poverty and climate. Climate action is essential in our top three priorities because we only have one planet to live. If you don't help the Philippines in our plastic problem, then the plastic will go to Switzerland.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
It
of
can go
course.
to the ocean is is just one ocean around the world. What I'm saying is, these advocacies matter to us because if we address climate in a circular economy structure, then it will then
Yep.
address the problem of poverty, the problem of hunger, and of
Yeah.
course, agriculture. So we're kind of focused on advocacies that are scalable, ones that are people can duplicate so that people can follow, and it would be something we could teach them how to fish so that they can multiply and also help more organizations, because those advocacies we've helped by teaching them how to raise funds and sustain them can become a source of funds for others as well.
Glenda, I have a very cool question actually, because we are all about accessibility also in impact investing. So in philanthropy, it's also often said that it's rather inaccessible to the average income person to do philanthropy. So how can individuals with limited resources contribute to meaningful change through the SRG, your company?
Yeah, I have just realized that, Sveta, because many organizations thought that the communities that are struggling are the ones that would get limited resource. But if you highlight love for humanity, they are the ones that attract the most funding.
Yeah.
They're the ones where the heart is. It's boots on the ground, it's grassroots. Some of these, that's why in Philippines, we may struggle, but the community, when they're resilient, they know how to prevent and they also know how to bounce back, because with the little that they have, they can more or less have the creativity, like you see in a typhoon and there's flood, you would see a Filipino creating a small rubber boat transporting one family to the
Yeah.
other side, and then they can make a living out of it. And sometimes, because of the bayanihan or the love for people, some people just saw that love and automatically the giving just come out. This is
Mhm.
what we call localized giving from simple people who thought they won't get access, but actually the heart of humanity is for them.
Yeah.
And you step and transform to uplift them so that they will have beautiful stories to work into philanthropy. And I think a lot of CEOs in foundations have those stories
Yeah.
to share. Yeah.
Exactly. I was in Hong Kong a couple of months back in attending one of the largest philanthropic organization there. And what I heard there, what's quite surprising, is that apparently 95% to 96% of all gifts, philanthropic gifts, go to 1 or 2% of the organizations. So then you see that you have the small organizations which are being overshadowed by very big ones. And you have been working extensively with the grassroots organizations. So how do you ensure that their voices and needs are represented in the larger ecosystem?
The impact of ecosystem as a whole in the connectedness of each small communities lumped together amplifies the voice.
Yeah.
That is why our ecosystem approach has been very, very attractive to the communities, because a small community working in children combined with other communities in the same advocacy, but looking at it as one ecosystem, amplifies them to not be a small player in the area. So that makes the value of community based organizations as part of the bigger, I mean, we have to accept that they are the implementers, whether we like it or not. Even
Mhm.
if money in impact circulates among impact investors and just satisfy the 6%, 10%, 12%, without the communities, there will
Yeah.
come a time that you'll say, where's the impact? And problems are not solved. That's why
Yeah.
when we lump the communities as an ecosystem, then they become a key player, even with these big sharks and big organizations that are out there. will now become our partner. And then we can say, hey, we're not beneficiaries, but we're partners because
Yeah.
we're making your um, financial spectrum grow as well with the growth of the community. You can't undermine them. When this data will be laid on the ground, the data will come from them. And those data will show whether we have end hunger, we have end poverty, or there's zero poverty, if it's a livable
Mhm.
society. So it's still part of the bigger space. That's why, Ban, I've always been hoping that this space is also amplified in a way that it's not about I mean, there's no separation too far for us to not work because
Yeah.
we've been with the funders as well, and also the community. So we know that this is now the beginning of being involved together
Yeah.
in the way we do things. Yeah.
And talking about funds, your impact fund aims to raise 50 million US dollar. So what kind of projects does this fund support, and how would you measure success?
Yeah. So our 50 million impact fund will focus on circular economy, like there's a climate and the climate action where we do waste management cycle and the conversion of plastics into recycling and then renewable energy, and all any initiatives on climate is one where the funds will go because that's very much needed. And with that, it will solve more livelihood programs and then hopefully end up problems on poverty. And second, we do have infrastructure, which is in the Philippines, housing. Housing is a very critical problem in our country. It's growing and growing. When there is calamity, it grows even more. But we have a big housing budget in the government. However, the government only gives those funds when the house is built. So money has
As
to
usual, yeah.
yeah, so money has to be pump prime in between, and the exit strategy to pay all the funds will be coming from the government. That's just so ironic. I'm sorry, but so if you do socialized housing and all of this stuff, it will it needs a lot of pump priming on funding, and that's where the impact fund can come in, but with an exit strategy. And our measure of success then is that it goes beyond just the finishing of the project, because we install the 7 pillar capacitation model. It assures the funders that the organization is capable of
Mhm.
of paying back, because that's always been the problem. If you don't capacitate and just give those projects back, even if government pays the exit strategy of the loan of the house, we don't want that the one who pays the house eventually will not be able to pay the house to the loan, because it's not we're just solving the impact investor, but we're not
Mhm.
solving the impact of the housing problem, right?
Yeah.
So what makes us different is because this capacitation model has taught our organizations to be ready, fund receiver ready. They are very much capable, and we because the first stage is to capacitate before you even have to do the microfinancing and all of this stuff. And of course, healthcare, man, because there are a lot of healthcare and hospitals in the Philippines and around places where we do community-based mapping, and they need investors to be co-investor of their schools and hospitals. So can you imagine, Ben? They asked me, Glenda, can Spring Rain be an investor in our? I said, never in my imagination will I be an equity funder for a hospital. And true enough, it's because some of these are maybe they need help on enterprise and all of this stuff. But if you have a hospital and we need more hospitals in our country, save the existing ones,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? And we just have to put our forces together. And Ben, you could own a lot of other because most companies in the Philippines are now even equity funders of. I just got one company, 8 schools already, 8 universities that they've been owning. So in a simple way, it's like impact investing
Mhm.
Yeah.
in some sense. So our 50 million impact fund is a force for good. It's just the minimum that we wanted to take on, but be assured that this could really multiply to more impactful narrative and measurable enough to address the UN goals, for that matter.
Okay.
Amazing. Glenda, can you briefly give few advice to those who are struggling to get philanthropic funding? So what do they need to do or become to be funder ready? In few sentences, really precise. What is the key to unlock the money?
First is shift of paradigm, that philanthropy need will be solving systemic issues. Therefore, if you want to access these funds, invest on your internal organization. It has to start from the governance of your internal structure that is ready to take in the funding. The heart of the problem is there, but if you don't solve the internal,
Yeah.
then it will still be a cycle. So yeah, I hope that.
That makes sense. Yeah. And how does data-driven philanthropy influences SRG's decision making? And what role do you think that technology plays in creating transparency and accountability? And do you think AI can play any crucial role in this field?
Yeah, I have to tell you, we have a Spring Rain Global AI already.
Oh,
Philanthropy AI. Well,
wow.
data driven approach, as database is one of our major pillar in the seven pillar capacitation model, is essential for us because as we work as an ecosystem, we need to map where are the strengths of the people we are working with. So data has helped us see from the geography, from the profile, from the thematic areas that matters, the scalable projects. So these data put the pieces together on where the gaps are. And we have a software, Ben. We called it Pledge Front Software. So once you use our seven pillar, we will let you subscribe to our software and you get the real time data. Data on the impact of your beneficiaries or grantees, and you get data on how much money you've also raised. So it's like a POS already in our
Yeah.
system. So that for me is important as a consulting firm and as a coach and a facilitator of funding, because for me, I cannot get the next donor or impact fund if I don't give you the data. Data matters to us in progress monitoring, because I don't want that we become partners only for the transaction we will do. I want us to have to put this at the long haul until until we continue to exist, because the progress of all of this is never ending, but we all do have a role to play. So impact report is essential so we know the numbers.
Okay.
That's amazing. Glenn, the time is running out actually, but we have very last question. And as you operate in Philippines, US, and Singapore, now we want you to give a call to action not only to those countries where you operate, but also to everyone else. So what would that be? Your call to action and maybe something you want to say to potential donors, partners, whoever listens to you.
Yeah, I would like to invite all the partners and donors and impact investors watching this evening to join the SRG ecosystem of good, because it means that you are helping us become a catalyst for transformative change. The support that you are going to be giving to us will drive sustainable solutions in areas on renewable energy, eco-friendly technology, waste management, economic empowerment, breaking the cycle globally. With our SRG seven pillar capacitation model, we assure you that this capacitation program will never go wrong. It will take its time to evolve and grow together, so that what you invested will become self-sustainable for the communities that we help. So together we can amplify impact. We can ensure that every contribution will fuel a future of dignity, a future of opportunity, and resilience. Be the force that shapes a better world and partner with Spring Rain Global and be part of our ecosystem of good.
Thank you.
Thank you so
This was
much,
amazing.
Glenda. Thank you for joining us today. And we are looking forward to stay in touch and spread the hard
Yeah.
work around the globe.
Yes, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our story, our narrative to impact humanity in many ways we may not be able to imagine.
Thank you,
Thank
Glenda.
you,
Thank
Glenda.
you. So, dear viewers, with this, we will end the TV show of today. But just remember, as you see in every TV show, we cannot do it alone. Everyone is playing a role. Philanthropy is very important. Impact investing is very important. Charity. And even traditional business is still very important so we can create a lasting impact on our planet. So do your work, but do it with your heart. That's maybe the core message.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks for joining our circular journey. We hope you are as pumped about sustainability as we are.
Absolutely. And if these stories didn't get you fired up, we don't know what will.
Hit subscribe and follow us everywhere. TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it. And share it with your family and friends.
And if you got a cool story or want to connect to our guests, let us know.
Stay tuned for more inspiring episodes. Let's keep evolving towards a sustainable future together.